When you are doing pour overs and the water comes in contact with the grinds for the first time, a lot of gases are being given off. And those gases are known as the carbon dioxide that actually prevent the water from extracting the flavors out of the beans. So when it comes to doing a good pour over, all you really need to do is understand how to control those gases, and you'll have yourself a better coffee. If you guys are new here, my name is Vincent and I'm the head roaster for Tales Coffee. And if you love experimental and educational videos, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can get the latest updates on my newest techniques. So you guys might be wondering how you can tell before you even brew the coffee how much gases are given off. Now it's actually pretty hard. Different coffees give off different amounts of gases. For me, I tend to see lighter roast giving off less gases than darker roast. And then I also believe that washed process tends to give off less gases than something like a natural or a honey. But you really actually have to just do some testing, trying out to see how much gases are given off. Now, when it comes to controlling the grinds or the gases, there are two main factors, at least in my belief, that actually helps with it. The first is the grind size, and then the second is the water temperature. Now that's probably the main one, because when it comes to grind size, I actually believe in pour overs, you should stick to the same grind size for every coffee. Now that might be an unpopular opinion, but listen, hear me out. When it comes to grind size, you want to have an even extraction. The only way for you to have an evenly extracted coffee is to have an even grind size. I guess that kind of makes sense. Generally though, the finer you grind, the more consistent your grind size is. But obviously, if you grind too fine, you will end up just clogging your filter way too quickly. So you just have to find the balance between clogging and then having an even grind size. For me, I actually find using about 350 to 400 microns, or what you guys would know as a medium fine, to be my kind of happy medium. That's the grind size I stick to, and I never change. It doesn't matter if it's 300 mils of water I'm using, 500 mils of water, or even 150 mils. I just change the way I pour to match that grind size. Now, the other way that I want to talk about is the water temperature. The higher the water temperature, the more gases you tend to react and have. And so if you are having an uncontrollable kind of amount of gas, you want to drop your water temperature so that your beans can properly absorb the water properly. Now, obviously, having a higher water temperature creates a better flavor profile or a higher extraction. But if you can elongate that kind of brewing process, a lower water temperature might actually just work better. And it's because if you use too high of a water temperature to begin with, your gases are so violent that the first couple of drips not going to have a lot of flavor. And so by using a lower water temperature and having a longer first drip timer, you're going to have more time to fully extract some of the flavors and get yourself a really good coffee right from the first drip. On a side note though, another thing that actually affects the gases is actually the type of spout you have. I know everybody talks about using a gooseneck kettle, so I'm going to show you guys. I personally brew with a Bonavita in the store because it's electric and I get to control the water temperature. But the spout is actually quite large and it pours quite fast, which actually results in a larger stream. And the larger stream actually creates more gases. Whereas something like the Buono is probably actually the best stream in my opinion. The Buono has this kind of nice arc to it as well. That gets complicated, but it's a thinner one than the Bonavita. And so you're going to have a more gentle stream, which is going to hit the bed a little bit more gentle, which creates less gases as well. Now, if you work with really dark coffees, you could also consider the precision kind of brewers, or the kettles. These are the needle-like ones, and they pour very slowly and very fine. These ones go vertically instead of an arc. It just goes straight down. So this one doesn't cause a lot of agitation at the beginning. It's very gentle, and it's great for super gassy coffees. But if you want one kettle to kind of rule them all, in my opinion, best bang for buck is definitely the Hario Buono. I actually use a stovetop one myself. It works both on a fire top and on an induction. So My go-to kettle for beginners is actually this one. It's actually probably also the best, in my opinion, for advanced people. So that's my go-to kettle for best control. So I've got two coffees set up over here. They're both 16 grams. They're the same coffees. And what I want to do is show you guys what 88-degree water looks like and 98-degree water looks like and how the gases are affected by it. Now the coffee itself, a little backstory, is it will be actually only featured for December. It's a coffee from Indonesia and it tastes like a hot wine. It's slightly on the medium darker side and it's very flavorful. But because it's on the darker side, it will give off a lot more gases. So I'm going to show you guys what the difference between using a lower water temperature and a higher water temperature is. Just going to get the kettles ready. So this is the 88-degree water. You guys can see as I pour a very nice and gentle kind of amount. It doesn't seem to just be overflowing. Now the darker grinds we will be talking about in just a second. But here goes the 98-degree water. You guys probably can't tell too much of a difference, but notice how at the beginning there's just a lot more gases being given off, just more bubbles coming out. And then the color at the beginning was more white because it was having a higher extraction. But afterwards, you can kind of get a decent amount of control. But right off the bat, you're going to notice that the gases are a lot more violent on this one. And because of that, you're going to get a lot more under extraction at the beginning if you don't control the pour properly. So for me, I personally like to use between 91 degrees and 94-degree water, just because sometimes we aren't able to get that perfect amount of control. So that's the differences in water temperature. Now that you guys know how water temperature affects the gases and what we do, during the brew, as you pour, you're going to notice that a lot of these darker grinds float up to the top. Now, these ones are also very important. It's because it's part of the gases. When they're dark and they're floating, they haven't really released all their gases. For you to really extract all the flavors out of the coffee, the darker grinds need to sink. And you need to be left with this beautiful, even crema. And this level is just, this is just what tells you that you've actually fully agitated all the beans, you've released all the gases, and you're now fully extracting every little bit of flavor. So let's look at the top of it. Let's look at the end of your pour and see what it's supposed to look like. So now we're going to talk about the middle section of the brew, which also gives off a lot of gases. I'm just going to quickly show you the 88 gram or the 88 water finish. So you can see how there's a lot of grinds on the walls. This is what you guys call high and dry. And this signifies that you actually haven't fully extracted the flavors from the walls of the coffee. So when we talk about a good extraction of the coffees, it's because all the grinds have actually settled down into the middle. So we're going to quickly just walk everybody. We're going to be using the lower water temperature because I think 91 is easier to control with. So you start in the middle, and the slower you pour, kind of like the more gentle the gases are. Now you want to stay in the middle, and you want to look for these floating grinds. Now the gases that it's given off is because the darker grinds have been opened up. When they are opened up, that's when the gases are all out. So if you see darker grinds floating out, that means they haven't actually given out all their gases yet. So you want to actually use movement to control the gases and make sure everything is out. Now once everything is out, you can just kind of stay in the middle, pour to your desired amount. I decided to stop at 270. And then I always like to stir because there's a little bit that's floating at the top that you want to just agitate just enough. And so for me, that's the way you control how you give off the gases and how much gas is given off. I hope this video helped you improve your coffee. Being able to control your gas is actually probably my biggest takeaway. I think everything is actually to do with understanding what the gases are doing and how you can actually make sure everything comes out as quickly as possible. So Let me know if you guys like this. Leave a comment if you guys have any questions. Like it if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye.